Now, can psychedelic drugs, magic mushrooms for example, become a treatment for depression? Tonight that question was the subject of a new BBC Two programme which had exclusive access to a groundbreaking trial at Imperial College London. It saw for the first time ever a psychedelic substance tested head-to-head against a standard antidepressant. If successful, it could have a massive impact for the 7 million or so people being prescribed antidepressants every year just in England alone. And in a moment we'll discuss the issues it raises, but first here are a couple of extracts from that programme, beginning with Steve, one of the trial's contributors.
Probably took 20, 30 minutes to feel the effects. And it was as colourful as anything you can imagine. Just colours that perhaps I'd never seen before, and I was seeing them all together at the same time. I was inside a kaleidoscope, and these colours were just playing out in the most extraordinary patterns. Beautiful and wild, wild beyond imagining. And the thing that I really felt most was a joy. Joy like I never experienced. It is really, really, really powerful stuff.
The results suggest that psilocybin is as effective as the antidepressant in reducing depression.
Work and social functioning.
And some of the other findings are even more promising.
Psychological flourishing. Anxiety decreases more with psilocybin. Remission rate, so no longer having depression.
Right.
That was 60%, no longer having depression.
At 6 weeks?
At 6 weeks.
60% remitted at 6 weeks?
Yeah, with psilocybin it was 30% with escitalopram.
Twice as many?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
So we've got 3 or 4 depression rating scales, significantly favouring psilocybin.
Wow. Yeah, very exciting.
It is.
Well, that was Professor David Nutt and Dr. Robin Carhart-Harris, two members of the trials team. And joining us now, Amanda Fielding, founder and director of the Beckley Foundation, and Ian Hamilton, senior lecturer in addiction and mental health at York University. Welcome to you both. And Amanda, am I right in thinking that you did a similar study to this a few years ago? Where did that take you? Where did it go?
Yes, we did it as part of the Beckley Imperial Research Programme with Professor Nutt and Robin, and it was the first study to use psilocybin as a treatment for treatment-resistant depression, and it was a kind of proof of concept, so we didn't have a placebo, but it had amazingly good results, which led on to this study a few years later. And it really is a kind of major breakthrough, because with psilocybin, you can just use 1 or 2 sessions, doses, to bring about these very dramatic improvements immediately. Whereas with SSRIs, which are the only really relevant medication to treat these conditions, people have to take it every day for a long period, and it doesn't really treat the cause. It's more like a sticking plaster. It numbs the sensations. So I think psilocybin medication therapy can really, in time, when we've done sufficient research to prove it, produce a kind of shift in the treatment of mental health.
Ian, could you be persuaded by this therapy?
Well, I mean, I should say I welcome research that looks at potential new treatments for depression. You know, we're lacking a good menu of treatments for people who have, you know, really disabling symptoms from depression. I think my cautionary note is really the kind of intensity of guidance and therapy that accompanies the consumption of the psychedelic drug. You know, this isn't just about swallowing a pill. This is about having, you know, an expert accompany you on that journey, making sure that you feel safe, but also to help you unpick the experience, which, as Amanda alluded to, you know, can be quite bizarre. quite unexpected, and as Steve mentioned, could even be joyful, which is a great effect. If you've been depressed, the one thing you're certainly lacking is any joy in your life. So to experience that again is obviously, a clear gain. But, not everyone will have that positive experience, unfortunately. Some people will have an adverse reaction, and we don't know who those people are going to be. It's very difficult to predict in advance who they're going to be.
So you need, Amanda, somebody, as it were, holding your hand throughout this. And I guess what we've seen from this one is a very small study, and it only actually monitors depression for 6 weeks. I guess we don't know what happens after that.
Yes, in our previous study, we monitored for 6 months. And at 3 months, it was still a very notable improvement. But, the nature of things, you can't expect kind of 1 to 2 sessions cure people forever, although some people do have complete remission. But I think one has to look on it as a treatment which might need reboosting every now and then, because what psychedelics are doing is increasing the neuroplasticity of the brain. It's disrupting the old fixed bad patterns and enabling the person to settle into more positive patterns of thought and behaviour for their happiness and well-being.
Ian, I just wonder whether attitudes are shifting now,